Hola chicos! This time let's talk about stem-changing verbs and some spelling changes that happen in the preterit tense. You remember the stem-changing verbs in the present tense. They're verbs that have an O in their root that switches to UE, like recordar, recuerdo, recuerdas, recuerda, but not in the nosotros, vosotros forms, recordamos, recordáis, but then again in the third person plural, recuerdan. You probably learned these as boot verbs or shoe verbs, and we would draw a little image around all of the forms that changed, and it looked a little bit like a shoe or a boot. There were the verbs with an E in the root that switched to IE, like querer, quiero, quieres, quiere, queremos, quieren. And then those verbs that had an E in the root, but it only switched to an I. Pido, pides, pide, pedimos, piden. Well, luckily, in the preterit tense, it doesn't happen quite so frequently. Those O verbs that change to UE, like acostar, nothing happens. Acosté, acostaste, acostó, acostamos, acostaron. And the E's that change to IEs don't change either. Entendí, entendiste, entendió, entendimos, entendieron. It really doesn't have much to do with what the root vowel is. It has to do with the ending. The only verbs that change their stem in the preterit are those IR stem changing verbs. Those AR verbs like acostar and the ER verbs like entender, their roots will always stay the same in the preterit. And then the IR verbs that do change, the change is different. The O changes only to a U, and the E changes only to an I. And it only happens in the third person forms. Dormir, dormí, dormiste, durmió, dormimos, durmieron. And sentir, sentí, sentiste, sintió, sentimos, sintieron. If the other set of verbs in the present tense were boot verbs or shoe verbs, we could maybe think of these as flip-flop verbs. They're very flat, just the bottom line. There are also some verbs that have some spelling changes in the yo form, and this is just a phonetic matching that happens with the written word so that it looks like the spoken word. Verbs that end in gar, like pagar, in the preterit will be pagué. We have to slip that little u in there to keep the g sound g. Otherwise, it would look like it should be pronounced pagé, which is not at all what we're saying. Pague, pagaste, pagó, pagamos, pagaron. The same thing with verbs that end in car, like buscar. The C is going to change to QU, busqué, and then come back for buscaste, buscó, buscamos, buscaron. If we didn't make that QU change, it would look like busé. And then lastly, the ZAR verbs, like almorzar. For whatever reason, Z and E just don't fit together very well, and so it will change to a C. Almorcé, almorzaste, almorzó, almorzamos, almorzaron. And then this is my favorite rule of all time. I like to call it the EIEIO rule. Whenever you find yourself with a verb that has three vowels in a sequence, either EIE or EIO, that I is going to turn into a Y. It makes sense. When you recite the alphabet, the letter I is called I, the letter Y is called Y, simply a Greek I. So we have leer and creer here, and you'll notice that in the third person forms, when we would have those three vowels in sequence, that Y is there instead of the I that we might expect. Here we have leer and creer, and you'll see that in the third person forms, the I has changed to Y. And it's really a simple reason. The I is just a skinny little vowel, and it gets lost between E's and O's, so it puffs itself up into its Y form. So remember old MacDonald, E-I-E-I-O. Adios.